3rd and 29. Jones steps up, tries to avoid it, buys some time. Jones uncorks, deep ball, touchdown on the ricochet. Purdy back to throw, pressure coming, steps away, looking to run, and he walks it in for the touchdown. Throw on 4th and 18, he's given time, he wants Jefferson, finds the runner, oh my goodness, Justin Jefferson. Jacobs with running room right up the middle, Jacobs is on his way, the Raiders are going to win this game. Intercepted Trayvon Diggs. Guess who? On a 2, McCaffrey right up the middle. And a stiff arm. McCaffrey for 6.
Legendary.
I'm very excited to introduce to you our new head coach, Bill Belichick.
I'm thrilled to be part of this organization.
Kick is on the way, and it is good! It's good! The Patriots are Super Bowl champions!
Are you ready?
It's just about doing our job. Just do your job.
The New England Patriots claim their 2nd Super Bowl championship.
He might be the greatest head coach of all time.
Back-to-back. 3 out of 4.
We're on to Cincinnati. We're preparing for Cincinnati.
A 4th Lombardi trophy is headed to one Patriot place.
Legendary.
The greatest comeback in Super Bowl history.
And there it is. The dynasty continues.
Legendary.
6 titles. How sweet is this one? It's sweet. It's sweet.
Best coach of all time, and it's a privilege to play for him.
Legendary.
Well, Isaiah, we're going to start off the show here with breaking news that Patriots and legendary head coach Bill Belichick parted ways, ending one of the greatest eras in sports that spanned for 24 seasons and saw the New England Patriots win 6 Super Bowls and appear in a record 9 Super Bowls, win 9 AFC titles, 17 AFC East Division titles. My thoughts on him parting ways with the Patriots. For me, it was sad in a sense, because I was saying goodbye to somebody that I have grown up watching since I was a kid watching football, first started watching football. And Bill Belichick to me is like the Greg Popovich of football because he orchestrated a similar era to what Greg Popovich did with San Antonio. Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili helped them with 4 NBA championships. They had a dynasty of themselves. And for the Patriots, he had a dynasty of 6 Super Bowls. And I feel like that, the last 3 years of Patriot football wasn't the Patriot football I knew because Bill Belichick's record without Tom Brady is not good. And I thought he would just play out the rest of his deal. But, Bill Belichick is for me, he's the all-time winningest coach in New England Patriots history. Although his coaching tree wasn't that good, I do think that Bill Belichick will be remembered for his character, his hilarious press conferences that I will miss, and also the way he talks to officials, yells at them. I miss that about Coach Belichick. But I just felt like that the last 2 years especially, he kind of sabotaged the team with Matt Patricia being the offensive coordinator, and then he wanted to keep him. Robert Kraft vetoed it. Instead, he went with Bill O'Brien to kind of help save his job, but I didn't think that was enough. Isaiah, what was your reaction? Because I found out when I woke up.
Yeah, Loro, hope you are doing well. Can't wait to hopefully get Ben on the show tonight and see what he has to say because it's a very emotional day for you Patriot fans because it is an end of an era. I still can't believe it. Like I know we kind of expected it, for a long time, especially towards the end of the season. But now you see it, you're just like, wow, Bill Belichick is no longer the head coach of the New England Patriots. And there were two other guys yesterday that either got fired or retired in Nick Saban and Pete Carroll that you're just like, wow, man, I can't believe that next year that we're going to have new coaches in New England, Alabama, and Seattle. Like, it's crazy to think about. But for Bill Belichick, I mean, this morning, I found out when I was about to go to bed, actually, and I had been, kind of looking through Twitter the last several days to see when and if it was going to break. And right when I was about to go to bed, I got a notification on my phone that Bill Belichick and the Patriots had mutually parted ways. And I was just like, I just sat there and I was stunned. I was like, wow, man, I can't believe that the Patriots dynasty is officially over. A historic dynasty that saw them win 6 Super Bowl championships, appear in 9 Super Bowls, have one of the greatest runs of all time is over. And, it's just crazy to think about. I know that I think we all thought that it was coming, right? Because, like you mentioned, Patriots have not been good the last 3 years. They made the playoffs once, but in that playoff game, they got blown out by the Buffalo Bills. And then the last several years have just not been good. This year, you could just tell this team did not have the firepower to compete with some of the best teams in the NFL. They got a lot of their defensive players got injured early, like Matt Judon and Christian Gonzalez, that really, really screwed them. And then you could just tell that, it was like, sadly, it was like a JV team playing against a varsity team. Like the Patriots were just overmatched in a lot of these games. And, credit to Bailey Zappi for winning a couple games late. But I mean, I could tell when Robert Kraft, and I think I told you this, Laurel, when Robert Kraft wrote a letter to the Patriot fans saying last year when they went, I think they went 8-9. And he said last year was unacceptable. We're going to make massive changes, and we're going to make massive changes immediately. I think that put Bill Belichick on the hot seat there in New England, and they went 8-9, and Robert Kraft was already not happy, very not happy. And so I was thinking to myself, if you go 4 and you went 4-13 this year, Robert Kraft is going to be beyond angry with Bill Belichick for what happened. And not a surprise that they parted ways, but still, end of an era. Crazy to think about. When I think about my childhood and my life so far watching football, it's Brady, Belichick, dominance in New England. And now Brady's retired, Belichick is gone. He might coach another team, who knows? But what a run for the Patriots! What a great run for Belichick. And I can't wait to see what Belichick does moving forward. But for the Patriots, it's sad that Belichick is gone. He did a lot for this organization, won 6 Super Bowl championships, brought them to 9 Super Bowls. But I think it's very exciting because now you're moving forward in a new era, which you really needed, because I feel like a new voice was needed. Belichick, his voice ran his course, and, it was just time, I felt like, for both sides to have a fresh beginning. And I can't wait to see what the Patriots do moving forward. But you're right. Belichick, a lot of funny stuff that he did, his press conferences, like, we're on to Seattle, we're on to Cincinnati, we're on to San Francisco. Like, it was just so funny to watch. And also just, especially after losses, him being grumpy all the time and him only like muttering one word sentences to the media. Like, that was so funny. And, he, oh man, like there's a lot of stuff. I know we'll talk about it in a bit, but it's just crazy. And I still can't believe it that Bill Belichick is out in New England. And that's why I wore this shirt, because we're celebrating Bill Belichick and his legacy here on the show. I typically don't wear Patriot stuff, but here it is. Got my Patriot shirt rocking. And, just for this occasion, I had to today because, it's kind of a sad day in New England, or a bittersweet day, but I bought Dunkin' Donuts, which is something that, you typically see behind Bill Belichick. What he does is press conferences with the Dunkin' Donuts coffee and donuts. So, yeah, sad day for the Patriots. Sad day for, football fans everywhere. Stunning day as well, but end of an era, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for both Belichick and for the Patriots. And they should be applauded for such a great run that you guys had.
I know. I mean, my favorite Bill Belichick memory, there's too many to name for me, but if I had to choose one, I liked his we're on to Cincinnati sentiment, because when we lost to Kansas City back in 2014 in week 4 of that season, that we're on to Cincinnati thing kind of helped rejuvenate the team. And I also think that is something I liked. And I think that Bill Belichick is known for these 3-word sentences. And I also like watching him yell at the players when I watch sound effects, NFL films type of things. So I've been watching a lot of that earlier today.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite memories of Bill Belichick, I was, when I first started watching football, I wasn't really the biggest fan of Bill Belichick because I thought he acted like a jerk, and I just didn't like the way he was talking to the media. But as I grew older, I kind of grew accustomed to him and, his actions. He was a really good coach. He dominated throughout the sport of football, always being a pain in the ass to compete against, whether, you're a fan watching the games or you're a coach coaching against him. He would just make it so difficult. And you knew that he was never out of any games. Like, they could be down like 28-3, like they were, and you knew they were never out of it. So, for me, my big favorite memories was, number one, it was this year, actually. Loro, I think you remember this. When it was against the Dolphins, Sunday Night Football, the official was just bending down. He's like fixing the chain. And then all of a sudden, Bill Belichick, in a grumpy way, sees him and he takes the flag and he just tosses it, slams it on the ground. Like, that was my absolute favorite moment. On to Cincinnati, on to Seattle. That would definitely, live forever. That was definitely one of my favorites. And, Belichick, whenever he was coaching up his players, do your job. Like, that's what he built in New England. It was all about doing your job. And that's also one of my favorite sayings. You mentioned his press conferences, like, whenever they lose, he would be like, yeah, we're on to Cincinnati. We're on to Cincinnati. Like, he would talk in such a low voice that you could barely hear him, and he would just give these like one-word phrases.
He would be like, "We gotta play for 60 minutes."
Yes, we gotta play for 60 minutes. Do your job. Like, oh my gosh, those are some of my favorite Belichick moments for sure.
Oh, yeah. And then we talked about off air about if I think Bill Belichick will coach again. For me, I'm going to say no, because he's had a great career. I just think, at age 71, I mean, after the year he's had, it's kind of time for him to kind of take time away from football, just because I know he likes fishing. He likes playing golf. Let him do that for me.
For me, I will have to slightly disagree with you, Laurel. I think he does coaches again, but I think that, and I'll have a hot take later about where I think he ends up. But I think that for Bill Belichick, he wants to break Don Shula's record. I think he's like, 14 wins away from breaking Don Shula's record. Like, you can do that in 2 seasons. So I think Bill Belichick will coach again because coaching is in his blood. He's all about coaching. Like, he doesn't know what he's going to do if he's not coaching, and he wants to break Don Shula's record. And he's 72 years old, or he will be 72 years of age when next season rolls around. I think he does coaches again, and I think he goes to a team that is a team ready to win now. Like, I don't see him going to the Commanders or the Panthers or any of those teams. I don't see him going to the Falcons. I know there's been rumors about that. I think for me, it's either going to be the Chargers or it's going to be one of these teams in the playoffs that gets knocked out early and chokes and disappoints mightily, and he's going to go to one of those teams. And I think what a lot of these teams in the playoffs that a lot of people are not talking about, that chokes, they're going to be interested because it's Bill freaking Belichick, dude. It's a 6-time champion. You fire your coach to go get Bill Belichick. So if Dallas chokes, I could see McCarthy being gone and Jerry Jones firing him to go get Belichick. Or if the Eagles lose, Sirianni might be gone because Bill Belichick's available. Or if Buffalo chokes and loses to the Steelers, McDermott could be gone. I could see him in Buffalo. But I think Bill Belichick will be.
I don't want him in Buffalo, honestly.
You don't want him in Buffalo. Oh my God, you do not.
I don't want him there just because I don't want him facing my team twice a year.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And Loro, since you're a Patriots fan, this is what I would recommend you to do: root for Buffalo to beat Pittsburgh. Because if Buffalo loses, I could see that being the case. But if Buffalo wins, they're not firing McDermott for sure. But I think he's going to go to a winning team.
Buffalo beating Pittsburgh, by the way.
Yeah, I got
Buffalo beating Pittsburgh
as well. Yeah, but I think he coaches again. I think he goes to a winning team.
For me, who I think will succeed him as the next head coach of the New England Patriots, I think they already have their successor. I'm picking Gerard Mayo because to me, he played for the Patriots under Belichick. He really learned how to be a leader. I think he's a great leader of men. And I feel like that if he hires, I think him hiring an experienced staff with him will help with the transition just because he doesn't have the head coaching experience. I mean, I think he will go with Mike Vrabel's defensive coordinator. Bill O'Brien is the offensive coordinator. Josh McDaniels is the passing game coordinator. And I really think that in about 2 to 3 years, I think Gerard Mayo is going to help New England get back to playing winning football because that's what type of guy he is. And I think he's a no-nonsense guy. And I feel like that the Patriots are going to pick him as the next head coach.
For me, who replaces Belichick? It's leaning towards Gerard Mayo or Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel played for the Patriots. He was enshrined into the Patriots Hall of Fame, I think, back in October. Gerard Mayo, they kept him from interviewing for other jobs because they reportedly promised him that he would succeed Belichick. I think the favorites are going to be those two. But if I'm the Patriots, I think what New England needs to do is I think they need to get away from the Belichick way and go to a brand new offensive young coordinator to be their head coach. Like Ben Johnson or like Bobby Slowick from the Texans or Mike LaFleur, brother of Matt LaFleur from the Rams. Like one of those guys I think would be really, really good for the Patriots because they will bring fresh new ideas. They'll bring an innovative offense. They can help develop the next quarterback, or if it's Bailey Zappi or if it's Mac Jones, you can help fix those guys. Like I think the Patriots would benefit greatly from hiring one of them to be the head coach and helping lead their team. And then you can have them for the next 20 years and they can be the offensive version of Bill Belichick. So for me, if I have to pick one, I think it's still going to be Mayo or Vrabel, Loro. But I think if I'm the Patriots, if I'm Robert Kraft, if I'm running the team, I would go with Ben Johnson or Mike LaFleur or Bobby Slowick. I go with one of those three.
All right. Anyways, here, before we get to our playoff picks here, we have to talk about the greatest college football coach ever. Nick Saban shocked the world on Wednesday and announced his retirement from coaching. He won 7 national championships, 11 conference championships, and 312 games. He's developed in an NCAA record, 49 NFL first-round draft picks. And also, in another bombshell, the Seahawks announced on Wednesday that Pete Carroll is out, but he will remain an advisor to the front office. And then Carroll led Seattle to 2 Super Bowl appearances and the franchise's first ever and the only Super Bowl championship, and an also unseen dominance in Seattle. I mean, it's going to be weird next year without Bill Belichick, without Nick Saban, without Pete Carroll. I mean, Isaiah, what was your quick thoughts on both Pete Carroll and Nick Saban leaving football?
Well, I think with Saban, Lowell, you probably will have more to add because you're an Alabama Crimson Tide fan, and it's just shocking that on back-to-back days, first your Alabama Crimson Tide lose Nick Saban to retirement, then the next day your New England Patriots lose Bill Belichick and part ways with him. So it's been definitely a crazy couple of days for you and everybody in the football world. It's definitely been really, really shocking the last couple of days. I mean, Saban retiring. I mean, I took a nap yesterday. I got up, checked my phone, got a text from our guy Ben, and he said Saban retired. I was like, no way. There's no effing way that Nick Saban just retired. No way whatsoever. And I went to ESPN and checked, and sure enough, Nick Saban had retired, and my mouth was just wide open. Like, I couldn't believe it. Nick Saban is the greatest college coach of all time. He's won so many national championships. He did not even show any signs that he was leaning towards retirement or he was declining. And Alabama just made the college football playoff last year. It's not like Alabama, they sucked. They lost so many games. Like, no, Alabama just made the college football playoffs. They won the SEC. This just came out of nowhere. And I am definitely going to miss Nick Saban. Even though I didn't like Nick Saban, I'm going to miss him, though, because, Nick Saban, great coach, dominance. Like with Belichick, when he was at his prime, his teams, no matter if they were down big or they were no matter if they were down big or how much they were down by, you never could count them out. And so, he was definitely a great coach. He definitely had a lot of players that had great success in the NFL. You look at Patrick Surtain, you look at, A.J. McCarron now, Mark Ingram, Jonathan Allen from the Commanders. A lot of guys just had a lot of great success. Eddie Lacy, Derrick Henry as well, Amari Cooper. Nick Saban, great coach. His legacy will definitely never be forgotten. And, I wish him nothing but the best in retirement. And for Seattle, Laurel, believe it or not, this wasn't really as shocking because I had heard rumors coming into Black Monday that Pete Carroll might step down. So I was not shocked that he left. I was shocked a little bit that he was forced out, but the Seahawks needed to make a change. I feel like the Seahawks and the Patriots are in the same boat because the Seahawks are stuck in mediocrity. Their defense is not that good. They don't have a quarterback. Patriots, it's kind of like the other way. They're not going anywhere. They don't have a quarterback. Offense is not that great. Defense is really good. But for Seattle, it was time to move on. They needed a new voice and they needed a coach that can really fix that defense because that defense has been awful for not just 1 year, but it's been awful for the last 3, 4, 5 years under Pete Carroll. And I just feel like, Pete Carroll has great juice. And Laurel, I honestly won't be surprised if Pete Carroll coaches again because Pete Carroll yesterday said that he fought Seahawks management hard to keep his coaching job, but they said no. You have to go upstairs. I would not be shocked if Pete Carroll comes back and coaches again. I know he's 73 years old, but I mean I could still see it him coaching because he's got the energy and he's got the fire to do it. But I mean, Seahawks needed a change. They're behind San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan and the Niners run that division. Then it's McVay. They've been dominating those two. And then Jonathan Gannon, he's got the Cardinals playing really good football, and they never quit. And they're, I feel like, a couple playmakers away from really competing in that division. So now where does that leave Seattle? It leaves them sitting there last in the division, and they've been third or fourth the last several years. So something needed to change. And I feel like that's why they made the move, because they needed a fresh voice that could modernize this team.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right about that. But beside the Belichick and Carroll ousters, which other Black Monday firing I was surprised the most? Oh, man. I mean, I was surprised about Arthur Smith because I felt like that he was coaching in a bad division. I mean, the Falcons were in a bad division. I felt like he did a good enough job to kind of show Arthur Blank and the Falcons that he deserved another shot. But I just thought that he was just scapegoated. I mean, I didn't think he was given a fair shot.
Yeah, I mean Arthur Smith. There were rumors that Arthur Blank wasn't pleased with his performance, especially the Falcons like choking the last several games away. And I mean, they got blown out by the Bears, 37-17 a couple of weeks ago. That wasn't a good look. Also, Laurel, they also lost to the Saints, I think, 48-17 in the last game. That was definitely not a great look at all. So I wasn't really surprised that he got fired. Um, the other guys, Ron Rivera. I think both of us expected Ron Rivera to be fired. I think it was just a matter of when he was going to get fired. Um, Besides Belichick and Carroll, I would probably say Mike Vrabel. Like, I never thought Mike Vrabel was going to get fired. I thought that if he was going to leave Tennessee, it was going to be via trade. But he got fired, and now teams can get him without having to give up any like picks or any cash or any players in return. So I think what Tennessee did was just stupid. Like Mike Vrabel is a great coach, and he's a young coach, and everybody wants Mike Vrabel, and you just let Mike Vrabel walk out the door because yeah, him and the GM didn't get along, but you don't even trade him. You said the reason why, we didn't want to trade Mike Vrabel is because it will take too long. You have a great coach as one of your assets, and you don't even like take advantage of it and get some picks in return. I just think it's utterly pathetic what Amy Adams Strunk and the Tennessee Titans did. I think they should have traded Vrabel. They shouldn't have fired him. They should have traded him to get, maybe a first or a second round pick, because there probably would have been teams that would have given Tennessee a first or a second round pick for Mike Vrabel.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right about that. But let me tell you my week 18 winners and losers here. I have to say that my week 18 winner was the Houston Texans. The way they played against the Indianapolis Colts, I felt like that this team really proved a lot of people wrong in a sense, like they weren't supposed to be good this year, but they weren't supposed to win the division over our Jags, Isaiah. But DeMeco Ryans has his team playing something special in now and beyond, because I think Houston Texan football is officially back.
Yeah, I mean, the Jags, Laurel, are definitely one of my losers. I can't believe you go to Tennessee, you play a team that's won 5 games all season long. They've been pretty bad this season, and your playoff hopes are on the line, and you just don't even show up. Like, I don't know what the Jags did. Their defense was so bad. The Titans could do whatever they want against the Jaguars' defense. They could move the ball up and down the football field. Derrick Henry went wild in that game. Like, it was like the Jags just didn't show up. Like, I don't understand what Jacksonville did. I'm surprised, Lowell and Ben, welcome to the show, but I'm surprised Doug Peterson has not been fired after that pathetic performance on Sunday. Like, the team didn't get ready to play in that game when their playoff hopes
he fired Mike Caldwell, his defensive coordinator. So he's basically shopping for a new defensive coordinator in Jacksonville.
Yeah. I mean, he should, because the defense was awful in that game against the Titans. But yeah, you're right. Texans are definitely one of the big winners of week 18. I can't believe they won that division. I'm still shocked right now by that. I think the other big, Laurel, do you want to finish the rest of your winners and losers before I give mine?
No, I mean, my winner was the Texans, and I think my loser in week 18 is the Philadelphia Eagles. They were pathetic. against the New York Giants. And I felt like Nick Sirianni is going to also make a defensive coordinator change. Sean Desai, I think, fit the criteria of the Philadelphia Eagles' hard-nosed defense. They have a lot of talent in that side of the ball, but I didn't think he developed them well.
No, I agree. I agree. That's why I've been saying they have been frauds all season long. For me, my winners and losers, Texans, never expected them to win the AFC South. I think that if you had said the Texans were going to win the AFC South at the beginning of the season, you probably would have gotten laughed at because, I mean, they were one of the worst teams in football the last several years, and they won the division. So congrats to C.J. Stroud and the Texans. C.J. Stroud is him. I got to say that. I know I went on Ben's show, and I apologize to C.J. Stroud for doubting him. He is him. He's a great football player, and he's going to continue to get better. The Jags are one of my biggest losers. I mean, for you not to show up when your playoff hopes are on the line, I mean, it's just pathetic against one of the worst teams in the NFL. And then the other winners that I have is the other winner is I would probably say the Raiders. I mean, they beat the Broncos. That was a good win. They went 2-0 against the Broncos. The Broncos haven't beaten the Raiders, guys, believe it or not, since I think 2019. So it's been like 4 years. Broncos have been just dominated by the Raiders. Antonio Pierce looks like he clinched that job. So congrats to him. So yeah, Raiders definitely one of my big winners. And then the Buffalo Bills. I mean, the Buffalo Bills, guys, remember, they were sitting here 6-6, and they were on the verge of missing the playoffs. But now you fast forward like 6 weeks, and the Buffalo Bills have won the AFC East, and they went into Miami, hostile environment, and they went into Miami, and they beat the Dolphins. And, I mean, what about my guy Taylor Rapp, guys? Going in, game-winning interception off of Tua Tagovailoa. What a play. The last couple of plays were just insane. And then I would probably say the loser for me, besides the Jags, Eagles. I mean, the Eagles look pathetic. 24-0, you were down. Your starters were playing in that game, and A.J. Brown got hurt, and he might not play the playoff game. I mean, they're a mess right now. And then the other one is Jameis Winston, guys. It's not a team, but Jameis Winston. I mean, you're in victory formation. Other team has conceded. You're in victory formation, and you ignore the coach. Dennis Allen called a knee, and you ignore the coach, and you end up running your own play and getting Jamal Williams a touchdown and gets all the Falcons players pissed off as heck like that. And then Jameis Winston after the game says, "Oh, yeah, we ignore the coach. Like, it was my decision." Like, he just looks so selfish in that entire sequence of that game.
Oh, I mean, Ben, we'll go to you here. What was your biggest winner and loser of Week 18?
Yeah, obviously, guys, thank you for having me on. I know, obviously, it came a little bit longer than I expected. But yeah, for Week 18, my winners, like as I mentioned, the Buffalo Bills, they were a team mid part of the season that felt like that they weren't going to be potentially in the playoffs. I mean, I think that them winning in Kansas City was kind of potentially the turning point in their season, as well as getting Joe Brady to be their offensive coordinator, because they clearly weren't working with Ken Dorsey at all. And I think personally, if they kept Dorsey throughout the year, they probably would have missed it because they just weren't seeing eye to eye. And Joe Brady did a really good job having Josh Allen not become Superman like always. Yes, Allen's kind of been being turnover prone the last couple of weeks, which doesn't bode well against the Steelers team that might need it on Sunday. But the Bills have been really playing well, and they are a real winner to me. The Steelers are another winner to me. They obviously found a way to get in the playoffs. Mike Tomlin is still a very good coach, like it or not. I mean, he still has a record 500 or more in his tenure with Pittsburgh. And yeah, they weren't playing against the Ravens starters, but they found a way to go into Baltimore, a really tough place, in the rain, and find a way to win that game and have a chance to get some help. And they were fortunate. Jacksonville lost, and so the Pittsburgh and Buffalo were fortunate for that. So both Pittsburgh and Buffalo are my winners because they found a way to win, and then they also found a way to get in the playoffs. Let me think of it as well. Man, thinking. I mean, those really two are my winners that really stand out. My losers, actually, my winner, I'll give it to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. For yeah, they only won 9-0, but they found a way to respond after a tough week the week before against New Orleans, and they won, and now they're in the Super Bowl card weekend round against the Eagles, which I mean, to right now, guys could be potentially upset city. Yeah, because the Eagles have a lot of flaws right now. And that's a great transition to my losers of Week 18, and the Philadelphia Eagles are my first one because, they obviously had a tough one the week before against Arizona, and I thought that the last like 3 or 4 weeks, I'm like, oh, this is the week Philly comes back and makes it a statement that they're back. The week after, and it's just not been there. Even in their stretch, the last 3-4 games when they beat New York, they were up by 10 points, and no, like 13 points, and New York almost won. Like it came right to the last drive, and they've been coming to show that they've been fairly fraudulent. Their defense, their secondary has been absolutely getting washed up. Look at Shaq Leonard, who they picked up to help with their linebacking crew lower, and it hasn't been great there. So I'd go with them as one of my losers. Another loser I would say probably is Jacksonville because Jacksonville was a team that seemed to be the AFC South perennial favorite to win, and the second half of their season, obviously Trevor Lawrence was a bit banged up a lot this year in the second half, but it just sucked, for them, and they went to Tennessee and they didn't get the job done. So that's probably another loser for sure. And then, oh man, I mean, I guess my other loser, there's not really a lot of other losers outside of that because a lot of other teams were just playing their backup quarterbacks. So it's kind of really hard to gauge that, to be honest. But a lot of the winners and losers that I had were teams that essentially got in the playoffs. And then my losers obviously are some teams that, yes, Eagles are obviously in the playoffs, but they're to me a cause for concern because they're obviously the last, like as you're coming on, like I was mentioning lower, the last 3-4 weeks, they have not shown to me that they're playoff ready team. And now you have Jalen Hurts, obviously. I was on my other show earlier today, and we were talking about obviously this game in a spread line form. And one of my co-hosts was saying that Jalen Hurts has not been thrown all week. And I thought, wow, like that's obviously massive news. And then you have AJ Brown obviously dealing with stuff. You have Devontae Smith dealing with stuff. It's on and on and on, the stuff. And then you look at the AJ Brown fiasco stuff the week before. It seems really tough to think. And then, if the Eagles are one and done, guys, I think that there's really concerns and questions about Nick Sirianni's future with the Eagles because this seemed like a team after losing the Super Bowl last year. This looked like a team that was going for revenge and a vengeance. And it looked early on that was going to be the case. But then you look at the second half of their season, and something just did not click. And I think part of it, Laura, our old friend Matt Patricia coming back to be the defensive coordinator for the Eagles. I did not understand that one bit. He clearly has not. I mean, ever since that Seahawks game, things have just gone down like crazy. And I'm not saying it was all Matt Patricia's fault. I think that they're obviously that Niners loss in Philly was absolutely just crazy. That was a set lead that the Niners, watch out, Philly. The Niners are still the top team, the top dogs. But yeah, the Eagles are definitely a team that's one of my losers for sure. And probably the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right. Anyways, here, Ben, before we talk about some head coaching predictions, what are your thoughts on Bill Belichick parting ways?
Yeah, obviously it's
with
before
the Patriots.
before we get into some overall thoughts, I want to my cap to Isaiah Leon. I usually never say this, but Isaiah Leon was essentially in our football preview the one to predict that Bill Belichick was going to be out as Patriots head coach, and I think many of us were absolutely thinking crazy enough about it. Now, I think he was probably thinking crazy itself, but he looked at the schedule, and I thought for a sense that this was a really tough schedule for the Patriots, and this was a potential season for if they essentially were not going to have a great season, that this could potentially have been in the cards. And Robert Kraft, I remember in the season ticket holder letter last year, he said, "Our we need to win. We need to get back to playing in the playoffs." And essentially, I think that Robert Kraft gave him this season as his last potential chance to make it happen, and it got worse. And so I think that this was pretty much inevitable the last couple weeks, even though it was inevitable, and I thought that this was coming to an end. It's crazy to think that it happened. Because you just never know until it's over. I thought yesterday with the Nick Saban news and the Pete Carroll news, which I'll talk about in a little bit as well, that something like this, at least this week, we at least had to have answers this week in terms of what was going to happen. It was either that he was going to return and get some help around somebody as GM, or he was going to retire, or he's going to do this. And that's essentially what was the case. Kraft essentially watching that presser today, it sounded like it was a very happy mutual part of ways. It's crazy enough, guys, that he was physically at the press conference, because that to me something where, you could do like a statement, you could do something else, but he essentially was there in front of the media, essentially talking to people and essentially saying everything about the Patriots that I was essentially hoping for. He essentially said, like Brady was saying, he's going to be forever a Patriot. He's going to be excited to come back whenever the time comes. Essentially exactly what Brady was going to do. So essentially, it's just crazy to think that, the time has come to an end. The dynasty has officially come to an end, if not already. And it's just been an absolutely crazy ride. The coach essentially was an iconic figure with the Patriots organization. Somebody that I'll never forget. Going to games when I was younger, seeing that coach on the sideline. It's just going to feel very strange next year that we're going to see somebody different coaching the New England Patriots. It really will be. But I'm never going to forget Bill, the greatest coach to ever coach the game. 6 Super Bowls, 9 Super Bowl coaching appearances, and to do it with the best quarterback to ever do it as well. Just the appreciation for both of them. It's never going to be duplicated, and I'm just forever grateful. And I think that Bill and company feel the same way on their end. So I'm very excited to see in terms of what this new era Patriots team is. But in the time being for right now, this is obviously it's a very tough time. But it's very a feeling time, a celebration for what essentially he has accomplished with the team and with the city.
All right, and folks. Now we talk about our coaching carousel predictions. So Isaiah picked Ben Johnson to potentially be the Patriots head coach, but it's going to be either Jerod Mayo or Mike Vrabel. I'm picking Jerod Mayo as the Patriots head coach. And who do you like as the new head coach of the New England Patriots?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jerod Mayo as well. I think that there was reports from Ian Rappaport later this afternoon, whatever you want to call it, that he seems to be the front runner right now. I think that Vrabel is going to get a lot of suitors for sure. And I think that with Mayo specifically, that his time is came. I think that Vrabel obviously is going to be highly respected because of course he's played there as well too. But I think that they pretty much kind of have like a plan in place where Mayo is going to be staying with the coaching staff for a long period of time. And I think that pretty much tells me he's going to be the next head coach of the New England Patriots. And I know obviously that for a lot of people that's fairly uncertain. It's scary to kind of see somebody else differently. But, when you have essentially a new head coach, you have $80 million in cap space to spend, and you have a top 3 pick, you're hopeful just to be hopeful in terms of that things could start to kind of turn things around and, hopefully start to rebuild this new team of the Patriots. I'm not saying of old, obviously, because that's obviously never going to happen, but just at least be competitive and become essentially the best product that the Patriots can have for the foreseeable future. And so, yeah, I have Jerod Mayo taking the keys from the greatest coach of all time.
Next up, we'll talk about the Panthers head coaching job. I picked Ben Johnson to be the next head coach of the Carolina Panthers because I really think that David Tepper really likes Ben Johnson and can develop Bryce Young into an elite quarterback, even though he didn't have such a great first year. I was hoping it would work with Frank Reich, but it didn't. But Isaiah, who is your choice to be the new head coach of the Carolina Panthers?
Yeah, so with my Patriots pick, I went with Ben Johnson. I think that, it's the New England Patriots. Like, yeah, they're not, they don't have, like, they're not that good right now, but it's still the Patriots. It's like the Celtics, the Lakers. Like, it's a big brand franchise. So I could see Ben Johnson coaching there. So for me, I got Ben Johnson going to the Patriots. For the Panthers, this is tough because I just don't know who's going to want to work for David Tepper. I mean, you don't know with David Tepper. Like, he's so impatient. 1 year, you have one bad year, and then you could be fired. So I think it's going to be a guy that doesn't have a lot of options. And I think that, it's going to be a guy that really wants to coach in the NFL, but doesn't have a lot of options. I'm actually going to go with a wild name because I think that right now, when you look at it, there's just not a lot of coaches that really prefer the Carolina job. I'm going to go with a team builder. I think that's what Carolina needs. I think they need a guy that can set the culture, build this team from the ground up. Give me, guys, you guys ready for this? David Shaw, former head coach at Stanford, I think will be the next head coach of the Carolina Panthers because he's wanted to coach in the NFL. Not a lot of teams are pursuing Shaw. And I just feel like with Carolina, David Shaw, this is going to be his only opportunity. David Tepper, he's not going to have a lot of great candidates to choose from. So I feel like it's a perfect match. And David Shaw's the kind of coach that, I feel like his offense is a better fit for the NFL. And Bryce Young ran that style of offense that David Shaw ran. So I think it just is a match made in heaven. So give me David Shaw, former Stanford head coach, to be the next Panthers coach.
What about you, Ben? Who do you like as the new head coach of the Carolina Panthers?
I'm going to go with Frank Smith from the Dolphins. I think that he would really help Bryce Young and that team specifically. I thought Frank Reich essentially, obviously it didn't work out. It sucks. But I think Frank Smith's going to do what he can to help Bryce Young and company respond. A lot of rookies tend to respond in their second years. So hopefully it works out for Bryce Young. So yeah, I'm going to go with Frank Smith.
Next up, we'll talk about the Chargers. For my pick to be the next head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, I'm going to pick Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator from the Chargers, because I really think that you need a young head coach with a young quarterback, and I think Kellen Moore would still call the plays, and I think he would do a great job with Justin Herbert, Isaiah.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. But for me, I think the Chargers will go with a candidate that's a big name coach, because they are in Los Angeles. Dean Spanos reportedly wants a big name coach so that, he can sell tickets. I'm going to go with Jim Harbaugh, former Charger quarterback who he's played there. He knows that franchise. He knows the Spanos family. And Jim Harbaugh is fresh off of winning the national championship, and he would be like the biggest name of all if you could get him to come to the Chargers and be the next head coach. And I think for Jim, he would want to coach the Chargers because who doesn't want to coach Justin Herbert? You have a quarterback that could be an MVP candidate at the helm. You have good weapons like Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, you have Quinston Johnson, the young rookie receiver, the defense. I mean, Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa with Derwin James in the secondary. Like, this team with the right head coach, I think can potentially get to the AFC Championship next season. And what the Chargers need is a guy that can build a winning culture, and that's Jim Harbaugh. So give me Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers.
And what about you, Ben? Who do you like as the Chargers' next head coach?
Isaiah, if you want to put your camera on. My next head coach for the Los Angeles Chargers is Bill Belichick. I
Wow.
think
Okay.
I think Bill Belichick is going to go to the Chargers. He's appreciated Justin Herbert from afar for a long time. Essentially, think about it, guys. He could be in the same division as Andy Reid, somebody essentially that him and Andy Reid have gone back to back, going in terms of it. And I think another thing too is, like as I mentioned, I think they're going to go for a high profile coach, and I think Bill is going to take a chance to take this job. I mean, heck, you go from Brandon Staley to Bill Belichick. So talk about an absolute massive difference. A guy that essentially is a mastermind to a guy that's an absolute. I'm not going to say the rest. He's just completely just lifeless, clueless. So yeah, I'm going to go with Coach Bell. I think that Bill would do really good things over there. And I think that, like you mentioned, Isaiah, they need culture. And if you bring them in, I think that they can really turn things around. I really do.
Well, next up, we'll talk about the Raiders. My pick for who I think is going to be the new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Mark Davis likes the big name, but Antonio Pierce did such a great job in keeping the Raiders afloat. And I think he deserves a shot at being a full-time head coach with the Raiders. Give me Antonio Pierce to be the new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, because I really think that he changed the culture there. The players played hard for him, and I feel like Antonio Pierce is going to still continue the Raider way and continue the commitment to excellence in Vegas. And what do you like for the Raiders as the new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders?
Yeah, I think they're going to keep Antonio Pierce. I thought that he really did a really good job taking over Josh McDaniels, been part of the season. I thought that Devontae Adams, the guy essentially was frustrated early on in the season, he really grown into a guy like Pierce. He's a young guy. He's obviously brought a lot of integrity, a lot of culture with them. So I think that they keep him for at least another season. And, I think that definitely, he builds something for sure that I think players appreciate there. So I'm going to go with Pierce.
What about you, Isaiah? Who do you like as the new head coach for the Raiders?
This is a tough one because, like you mentioned, Mark Davis loves the big names. He's going to go out and try to get a big name. I could see them getting Harbaugh. I could see them getting Bill Belichick because he wants the big names, and it's Vegas. And remember, Tom Brady is now minority owner of the Raiders, so that could very well happen. But for me, I think Bill Belichick goes to a team that's ready to win now, and I don't think the Raiders are ready to win now. They don't have a quarterback. Josh Jacobs is a free agent. There's a lot of moving parts with that franchise. For me. And this is going to be, you guys might think I'm absolutely insane with this one, but I don't know why I saw this thrown on Twitter yesterday, and I was kind of intrigued by it. For me, I'm going to go with the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to go with Pete Carroll. I think they trade for Pete Carroll. I think they do. They need a big name. It's Vegas. Pete Carroll does not look like he's ready to quit coaching and retire. He had all the energy yesterday. He was even saying in his press conference, I was very hesitant to quit the Seahawks. Like I fought for a chance to coach next year, and I think he wants to coach next year. So give me Pete Carroll. I think Pete Carroll, he has a lot of juice left in him. Couple of years, find a successor, and then he'll retire after that. I think Pete Carroll goes to the Raiders.
I like that fit a lot.
That's probably a good move there, buddy. Next for me, we'll talk about the Washington Commanders. Now that we're on Rivera,
looks like we lost Loro.
Yeah, looks like we don't have. Yeah, it looks like we lost Loro, sadly.
But you want to take it or do you want to take it?
Yeah, I'll go. I'll take. Loro, do we got you?
I was about to come on, but he was talking about the Commanders, and It sounds like Laura, if we get you on, we'll have you
I'm
back on
back.
here.
You're back?
All right.
Okay.
Perfect.
No, I'm back.
All right.
Saying that the Commanders, who I picked as their next head coach, I'm picking Eric Bieniemy.
Ooh, okay.
Just because I feel like that he gets passed up, and I think this is his time for him to be the head coach and also call plays offensively. And I think that he could really work well. He could. I think he could still. I think he still has the faith in Sam. What about you guys?
For me, this is one of Isaiah's favorite guys. I'm going on a limb here. Give me Todd Monken for the Commanders. I think that he's a young guy. I think personally going to go after a quarterback, and no better the offensive coordinator to bring in as a head coach to help a guy like Caleb Williams, who I think personally might need it. And think about with Todd Monken too. He, with the team like the Ravens, was he on the Ravens? Tom Monken was, or he's been with, I feel like in the past, like mobile quarterbacks. And I think specifically if they're going to get a guy like Caleb Williams, they have to get somebody that kind of knows specifically the scheme. And I think it would be a great fit. It's obviously just new blood, just kind of younger, specifically after being with Ron Rivera. So yeah, give me Todd Monken.
All right. Man, I think that's an excellent choice. But for me, for the Commanders, I feel like the Commanders are going to try to go big because new ownership group, they want to make a splash in their first head coaching hiring. For me, I think the Commanders, that's tough. I could see Eric Bieniemy, Laurel, but for me, I think the Commanders, they'll try to go big, but I don't think they. Yeah, I think they'll go big. I'm gonna go with Mike Vrabel. There's no GM there. They're gonna try to go big. Mike Vrabel. The reason why he lost his job reportedly in Tennessee was because he wasn't willing to, or he was trying to get full control of the entire roster. In Washington, you could potentially do that because they don't have a GM. So you could potentially get full control of the roster, bring in your own GM, have a guy you can work hand in hand with. And for Josh Harris and the Washington ownership, it would be good for them because they get that splash hire they're looking for to bring some intrigue to the Commanders.
That's a good one here. But now we go to the Tennessee Titans. I mean, now that Mike Vrabel's gone, who does Ryan Carthen, the GM, pick? Does he go with Steve Wilkes? Does he go with Kellen Moore or a defensive minded coach for Tennessee? I'm going to pick here. I mean, he did a good job in Carolina. I think he deserves to try to get a crack at another shot of being a head coach. I think I'm going to go Steve Wilkes. I think Steve Wilkes is head coach material, but when he was in Arizona, he had a bad roster. Isaiah, Steve Wilkes is my head coach prediction for Tennessee. What about you?
Remember, guys, Rand Carton, the Titans GM, came from San Francisco. So I expect a lot of candidates that are going to be connected to them will be with Niner ties since he's from San Francisco and they want a coach that can work hand in hand with the GM. So I think Steve Wilkes is a good choice. I could see that happening. But for me, I'm going to go with an offensive mind. I think they go with a young coordinator that has ties to Rand Carton. I'm going to go with Mike LaFleur, the little brother of Matt LaFleur, coached under Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco, went to the Jets, didn't really have success. I mean, but who can have success with Zach Wilson, sadly? And then he went to the Rams, and now he's running a really good offense there in Los Angeles with Sean McVay. He's got connections to Rand Carton. I could see it. I could see that being the case. He's a young coach. I think he's ready to be a head coach, and he can help develop Will Levis and put an offense around him that will help Will Levis be successful. So I'm going to go with Mike LaFleur.
What about you, Ben? Who's your pick to be the next head coach of the Tennessee Titans.
I'm going to go with Bobby Slowick. I think that he is a young, good get for a guy like Will Levis, who I think, like a lot of these rookie quarterbacks, could really strive in year two. I thought that Levis did a lot of good things in his first year. And Slowick's obviously an offensive-minded type coach. I like the fit there.
Now we talk about the Atlanta Falcons and who I think is going to be their next head coach. I mean, now that Arthur Smith is gone, I still see him being a head coach somewhere next year. But I think for the Atlanta Falcons, I feel like Arthur Blank is going to pick somebody that he has personal ties with that could help jumpstart this offense that has been like, a really good ground and pound type of philosophy, or he can go with a defensive-minded head coach. Like, I'm going to go Mike Zimmer just because he's been out of the league for like a couple years, and I think Mike Zimmer would be a great fit for the Atlanta Falcons just because you got to need to improve that defense, but he does need an offensive coordinator that can help with whoever the next quarterback is for the Atlanta Falcons. What about you, Isaiah?
Guys, I've been hearing some really crazy rumors on Twitter. I don't know how factual they are. But about this job, there's been smoke. And remember, we've learned this week, guys, that when there's smoke, even though it may not be real, you should pay attention to them because they might have some truth to it. And there's been some smoke that Kirby Smart might be the next head coach of the Falcons, that or Arthur Blank might try to get him from Georgia. Do I think that's going to happen? As a Georgia fan, I hope not, because he's a damn good coach. But this is a place I could see him leaving Georgia to try to test his wits in the NFL. You know what? Call me crazy. I'm going to do it. Give me Kirby Smart. I've learned this week to never take any rumors for granted. When there's smoke, even though there's a little bit of smoke, there's fire. Kirby Smart is from Georgia. He's ruling the roost in Georgia. Arthur Blank needs a big splash hire to get the fan base excited about Falcons football. They have Terry Fontenot, but they're not sure about his status moving forward. So if you get Kirby Smart, you can pair him up with his own GM. He can basically shop for the groceries himself. That's a young team. They got a high draft pick coming up. He can figure out the quarterback. I'm going to go with Kirby Smart. I know it's a crazy take, but I think Kirby Smart will be the next head coach of the Atlanta Falcons.
Hear me out on this. I think that you could definitely be on something there because I really see that Justin Fields is going to get traded to the Atlanta Falcons this offseason. And I think that the Bears are going to go after a quarterback. So if they essentially went after Justin Fields, he is a former Georgia quarterback, so Kirby Smart might have that connection there. You see, as Brian Windhorst does this, hey, you never know.
Ben, are you going with Kirby?
Who do you like as the next head coach of the Atlanta Falcons?
Yeah, I'm not going with Kirby Smart. I think for me, for the Falcons, I'm going to go with Raheem Morris. I think that he's going to get an opportunity to be a head coach. And he's been around the defensive coordinator for the Rams for a while. And the Falcons really need a defensive coaching identity. He could be kind of like next year's DeMeco Ryans, where that Falcons team, they've been a mediocrity for the last couple of years. The Buccaneers right now, Todd Bowles, obviously, who knows about his future? Dennis Allen, who knows about his future? The Falcons essentially right now, folks, if they get a quarterback like Justin Fields, for instance, and they get a young head coach that can really revive around that defense, essentially kind of like this year's Texans, the Falcons could potentially be a playoff team next year. I mean, they really could. They've essentially been 7-9 the last 3-4 years. It's not like they essentially are awful team, but they're not good or great yet either. They're all just stuck there. And I think that if they got a guy like Raheem Morris, that really could just help that defense, because the defense has really been their struggles to it, I'd say, for a while. Who knows what could happen there.
All right, guys, next up, we'll talk about the Seattle Seahawks. My pick for who I think the next head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, I'm picking Dan Quinn. Now, he goes back to Seattle. I think, he's done a great job in Dallas. But I think that even though if Dan Quinn gets a head coaching job, I think the Cowboys will still be a really good football team. They still got a really good defense. I think Mike McCarthy could find a defensive coordinator that could help orchestrate and help make that defense still elite without Dan Quinn, just because Dan Quinn can really help rejuvenate the Legion of Boom in Seattle, and then get an offensive coordinator that could help Geno Smith, Drew Lock. What about you, Isaac? Who do you like as the new head coach of the Seattle Seahawks?
I'm gonna go with Eric Bieniemy. I think the Seahawks need a coach that's an offensive coach. They need a guy that can develop the quarterback. They need to start running more of a modern day offense in Seattle. So I think Eric Bieniemy, with his energy, his passion, his offensive mind, I think would be a really, really good fit for the Seahawks as they go moving forward in the post Pete Carroll era. Also, here's a name to keep an eye on. This is a very interesting name that I don't know why a lot of people have not mentioned about it, and that is Washington coach Kalen DeBoer. He's a guy that a lot of people are saying like his offensive schemes are very innovative. He's a really good play caller. That's what the Seahawks need. I feel like they need a play caller. They need a guy that can develop the offense and develop the quarterback, and help that next quarterback. So watch out for Kalen DeBoer. I could see him making the jump to the NFL. There's teams that are reportedly interested in him as well. So he might make the jump. We'll see. But yeah, I think Eric Bieniemy goes to Seattle. But I know that's like the last coach openings. But I'm gonna drop one gigantic hot take for you guys. This is not on the list, but this is about one of the candidates that are available in the pool. Bill Belichick. I think Bill Belichick will be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Dallas Cowboys will lose this Sunday against the Packers. Mike McCarthy will be fired. And Jerry Jones, you guys all know, he loves the big moves. He loves the big moves. And what is better and bigger than getting Bill Belichick to be his next head coach? I mean, guys, imagine Bill Belichick and Jerry Jones running the Cowboys. I mean, our minds would go like, boom.
What about you, Ben? Who do you like as the next head coach of the Seattle Seahawks?
Call me crazy, but I'm going to go Jim Harbaugh. I think that Seattle and Harbaugh, Seattle obviously has been a destination city for football for a long time. Obviously, Carroll was there for a lot of years, and I think Seattle still is in a couple years where they can compete for the division specifically outside the Niners. Harbaugh, I think, would keep that same identity specifically in terms of their overall culture that they've had, and just a really good fit. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Jim Harbaugh there.
All right, next up here, we're going to talk about our playoff and Super Bowl predictions here. So, the NFC wild card round. We have great games coming up, especially the one on Monday night where the Eagles take on the will take on the the
Bucs,
the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. My phone's loading up. The Eagles taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So for the Saturday games, let's start with Chiefs and Dolphins. Even though it's cold, I have no excuses to play in these type of conditions. I'm picking the Miami Dolphins to stun the Kansas City Chiefs. Tyreek Hill's return to Arrowhead Stadium, because I think that Tua Tagovailoa is going to brave the elements, and he is going to And the running game for the Dolphins is going to be very good. So give me the Miami Dolphins in this contest. And then for the other Saturday game, can you tell me who that is?
Yeah, so we start off with the Cleveland Browns at the Houston Texans. That's the first game. That game is at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. So, Laurel, who do you have? Browns at Texans.
I'm going with the Houston Texans because you know what? They're gonna prove everybody wrong in this wild card round. Ben, who do you like between Texas Browns and Chiefs and Dolphins?
Yeah, so the first game, the Browns Texans game, I'm gonna go with the Texans. CJ Stroud wasn't playing against the Browns a couple of weeks ago against the Browns, and obviously the Browns have been a fun story. Obviously their defense this year has been awesome, but I think that the Texans obviously been rolling the last couple of weeks, and they're doing really well the last couple of weeks, specifically with Stroud, and they've done a lot of great things in the wild card rounds the last couple of years. And they've had the opportunity to obviously they beat the Bills. I believe between 2011 2013. So give me the Texans to win. It's gonna be a close one. And the nightcap, I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. The Dolphins, let's be real, guys. They haven't shown at all this year that they've been able to beat quality, good teams. They're going to a really hostile environment. It's going to be like 30 degrees wind chill. Tua Tagovailoa is, you're going from sunny Miami, Florida to absolutely bone chilling Kansas City. And they won't have Xavier Howard on defense. They won't have Jalen Phillips on defense. They essentially won't have their top pass rushers on defense. And I think with the Chiefs specifically, they probably won't score a lot of points like they have in the past, but their defense has been absolutely incredible. They'll be able to use the running game. I'm going to go Chiefs here. Let's see, 23 to 13. And then in the Texans and Browns game, I'm going to go 27-20.
All right. So for me in Texans and Browns, I'm gonna go with CJ Stroud and the Texans. I think they have the better offense. I mean, Joe Flacco's been a fun story, but I don't know if he can keep that up. And playoff is a different animal. It's more physical. I know they have the experience, they have the defense, but CJ Stroud, he's the most electric player out of that entire team or in the entire matchup. And you look at him, Nico Collins, they have such great chemistry. The running game, what they built there, Bobby Slowick, first time in the playoffs. I think he's going to call a great game. I think it's going to come down to the wire, but give me CJ Stroud on the Texans, game-winning drive to win it. I'm going to go Texans 21, Browns 18. I think it's a really close game. And then Chiefs, Dolphins. I know, Ben, on your show, I picked the Dolphins to stun the Chiefs, but I didn't realize the weather was going to be that bad. I didn't think it was going to be that bad. So I'm going to have to change my prediction. Give me Kansas City. I think the Dolphins, look, when you're playing South Beach, it's nice, it's sunny, like 70 degrees every single day. But when you're playing in this weather, you're going to go from 70-degree heat, sunshine, to, 30-degree wind chill. I saw today the degree, it's going to be potentially 0 degrees at kickoff. Like, that's how cold it's going to be. And the cold is definitely going to affect it. Kansas City is very, they're accustomed to playing in cold weather. So I think, I'm going to go with the Chiefs to win this one. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I'm going to go Chiefs 17-13. All right, so I think Laurel just texted me. He said he's having some connection issues, so I don't know if he's going to be on for the rest of the night. But we'll move forward here. Let's go to the NFC, let's go to the NFC side, Ben. Or no, let's stay in the AFC. Sunday morning, first game of the Sunday slate. We've got the 7th-seeded Pittsburgh Steelers at the number 2 seeded Buffalo Bills. Ben, who are you taking in this game? Are you going to go with Mason Rudolph and the Steelers, or are you going to go with Josh Allen and the Bills?
I'm going to go with the Bills. The Steelers, obviously, they got in last week. Obviously credit to them. But the Bills just been flying high the last couple of weeks here. They essentially looked like from the team that went outside of the playoff picture to become the 2 seed in the AFC. They obviously had a big one against Miami last week at their place. That weather in Buffalo is going to be obviously playing factors, but and it's going to be low scoring, I think, too. But the Bills, I think, just their offense is going to move the football a little bit more. I don't trust the Steelers' offense with Mason Rudolph, especially come playoff time. It's a different breed come playoffs. And the only way the Steelers, I think, are going to win is if they force turnovers on Josh Allen, which he's had shown some turnover worthy plays the last couple of weeks. He had 2 picks last week. So I can definitely see the Steelers getting some turnovers here, but I'm going to go with the Bills here. I think it's going to be 24-10. And I think that James Cook has a big game. And I think that the Bills force some turnovers against Mason Rudolph in the cold on Sunday.
All right, Ben. I think that's a good pick. I agree with you. I don't think this game is going to be close. I think that, like I said on your show, I don't think that the Steelers are going to have a shot because Mason Rudolph, he's a good story, but he was throwing a lot of dump offs. He really wasn't throwing the ball down the field. They were being very conservative, and you can't be conservative to win in the postseason, especially against the monster that is the Buffalo Bills. I think Josh Allen has a big day. Losing T.J. Watt is a massive loss because now you're going to be hindered going after the quarterback. So give me the Bills. I think the Bills, they blow out the Steelers. I think they win this game 31-13, and I don't think that it's going to be close. So I'm going to go with the Bills in this game to win it. Ben, for Texans and Browns, who did you have for that one?
Yeah, I had the Texans.
You had the Texans. Okay.
I think it's going to be close, though. The last time the Browns and Texans played, it was kind of lopsided, but I'm not taking the Texans into account without C.J. Stroud. He's really their offense. He's their identity. It's obviously his first time in the playoffs, but I think, they're going to have a really good game plan against the Browns defense, and I think they're going to do enough to win this game.
All right. I just wanted to make sure because I'm writing down all of our picks so we can get it for our division round picks as well because we're going to go through the entire playoffs. On the NFC side, who do you have for the Sunday game? I think this is going to be a great game. Cowboys, Packers. It's the rematch of the Dez Bryant catch / non-catch. Mike McCarthy facing his former team. Jordan Love versus Dak Prescott. I mean, there's a lot of great storylines going into this.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Cowboys. You have 2 iconic franchises. Yeah, I could hear you. I'm going to go with the Cowboys against the Packers here.
Do you have me?
Got 2. Yeah, can you hear me? Isaiah? I don't know. But yeah, guys, I don't know if we'll try to get Isaiah back on here in terms of our connection. But in terms of this game, you got Packers, Cowboys. I'm going to go with the Cowboys here. You got 2 iconic franchises going at it. And it's going to be a close one. The Cowboys obviously have been really good at home all year. The Packers, as obviously it looks like we lost lower in Isaiah here, but let me try to. The Packers, Cowboys, it's going to be a good one. And I'm going to go with the Cowboys here to win this game. I think it's going to be close, but it looks like we got Isaiah back. But yeah, I think that Gerald Alexander, the standout corner, did not practice today, or he was limited because of an ankle injury. So he more likely than not will go against CeeDee Lamb this weekend. And if he's not 100%, it could be a really long day for the Packers defense because they really need to have him healthy. And Yeah, I just think that with Jordan Love, his first year, he's had a really good year in terms of his standards, but you're going against a different breed of defense, specifically that's been playing really well. I know they might not have Stephon Gilmore for Sunday, but I think that the Dallas defense will have some turnovers caused with Jordan Love, and I think that Dak Prescott will find the end zone to CeeDee and to Tony Pollard. I'm going to go Dallas here. Let's see, 28-17.
All right, that's a good pick. So for me, I'm gonna go with the Packers to upset the Cowboys. I just don't trust the Cowboys this season. Like, yeah, they've been great at home, but Cowboys in the playoffs is a different beast. The Cowboys, every time they play in the playoffs, they play in a really, really close game, big moment. They always just disappoint and choke. And the Packers, they know Mike McCarthy inside and out. They know what he likes to run. They're going to be ready to stop that high-powered Cowboys offense. And here's, Ben, is why I think the Packers will win, the running game. The Cowboys have a really, really difficult time stopping the running game. Aaron Jones is healthy now. A.J. Dillon is healthy. They're going to run them down the Cowboys' throats. I think it's going to be a close game. But I think it comes down to the final possession, and I think Green Bay wins this game on a game-winning walk-off field goal by their kicker. I think it's a classic game. Dallas, close game. Mike McCarthy in a close game, you and I both know, he always tends to go conservative, and he shrinks. So give me the Packers to pull the first upset of these playoffs. I'm going to go Packers over the Cowboys. For the next Sunday's game, Ben, this is going to be a classic. You have Matthew Stafford and the 6-seeded LA Rams against Jared Goff and the 3-seeded Detroit Lions. Lions' first playoff game at home in quite some time. Matthew Stafford going back to Detroit. That should be so much fun. You have Brad Holmes, who was he was an assistant GM of the Rams, going back to Detroit, or going back to playing his former team in the LA Rams. I mean, there's a lot of storylines between these two teams. Goff versus his former team, Stafford versus his former team. It's going to be fun. Rams and Lions, who do you have?
Yeah, this is the most anticipated, I think, matchup that I'm excited for all weekend. I know we talked about this matchup on my show a couple nights ago. We talked about this matchup on my show earlier tonight. Actually, one of my co-hosts had an absolute wild stat between legitimately Goff and Stafford, and like their career stats are so similar. It's insane. But you talk about this game, like I mentioned, Stafford's homecoming to Detroit. The Lions obviously haven't been in the playoffs and so on. They're playing obviously at their place. I'm really curious in terms of the health of Sam Laporta. I know that he's going to try to give it a go, but he's been really a main factor in the offense for Detroit. Well, I'm going to go here upset. I'm going to go with the Rams. Obviously the Rams have had their deficiencies the last couple weeks. They almost lost the Giants. They were in a battle, I believe, with the Saints. But Stafford, I think, is going to ruin that homecoming, for Lions fans. It's going to be a really good game. I think it's going to be back and forth. But I think with Sean McVay and Dan Campbell, I'm going to go with McVay in terms of the coaching advantage. And then Stafford, Goff. Give me Stafford with the advantage at quarterback. So I think it's going to be high scoring. Give me the Rams by the final of 28-21.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Both of these two teams not really known for defense. They're more known for offenses. Rams like to air it out down the football field. The Lions like to run it down the football field. It's going to be a matchup in styles. This is tough, but that Detroit crowd, Ben, they're going to be loud as heck. They're going to be crazy because this is their first home playoff game in a long, long time. I'm going to go with the Lions, but I could see the Rams winning. But I'm going to go with the Lions. I think it's a really close game, but I think Jared Goff, he's out to prove that the Rams made a mistake by trading him. I'm going to go – I think Jared Goff has a big day. I'm going to go Lions 34-30. But I agree. It's going to be a shootout, and it's going to probably be outside from this and Packers and Cowboys, I think it's going to be the best games of the wild card round. So I'm going to go Lions over the Rams. You got the Rams over the Lions. And last but not least, the Eagles at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Nick Sirianni and the Eagles are floundering. The Buccaneers won against the Panthers barely 9-3 last week to clinch the NFC South. Eagles and Bucks, bad. Who do you got?
Yeah, I don't know. I saw my other group tonight. Like everybody essentially, it was a tough one because I think the Eagles are now our favorite at -3. I'm like everybody in my group was going for the upset here, to pick Tampa Bay, and deservedly so. And I was saying earlier tonight, I said if you thought about this game, like in terms of the way that the Eagles were playing early on the season when they played Tampa Bay, I would have picked the Eagles easily. But right now it's a coin flip because you got one, potentially the weather is going to be in play, potentially with some rain in the forecast on Monday night. The Bucs, obviously, the last couple weeks offensively only scored 9 points against the Panthers, and that was all field goals. And the week before, Baker had 2 interceptions. So Baker's kind of sliding a little bit, coming into Monday night. And the Eagles specifically, their passing defense has been horrific. Obviously, like I mentioned before, so it could maybe bode well for Baker Mayfield and company. But you obviously don't know in terms of how he can throw in the rain if there happens to be elements. And then you look at the Eagles, obviously, they've just been reeling. Ever since that Seahawks game, they lost once to the Giants, once the Cardinals, even their win against the Giants, barely. I mean, there's a lot of fiasco stuff, specifically in the locker room with A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown right now has currently been limping. He's been hurt. Jalen Hurts has been hurting. Devontae Smith's been hurt. And it's just been absolute chaos in Philly for the wrong reasons. Yeah. So it's really hard to kind of depict this game right now. But I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles here in a really, really low-scoring game. It's going to feel like a 16-13, like a game-winning field goal type of a game, just because I don't know how much that offense for the type of a Buccaneers is going to be able to move the football in terms of throwing in the rain, throwing the elements downfield. So I think that it might cause for some turnovers for Baker Mayfield. Yeah, it's just really tough. If there's any other team specifically that might have had a better quarterback out there, I probably would have it seemed like if the Bucs are playing like Dallas, I would have picked Dallas. If Dallas was playing Philly, I'd pick Dallas or somebody like a better quarterback specifically right now that's playing better football. But yeah, give me Philly. I'm gonna go like 16-13. It's gonna be really low scoring, and I think Philly specifically. People were saying they were gonna be Super Bowl contenders. It doesn't look great for them right now, but I do think that they find a way to win on Monday.
For me, I'm going to go with the Bucs because I don't trust the Eagles. I haven't trusted them all season long. Their defense is a complete mess. And like you mentioned, I mean, they are just going in the wrong direction at the wrong possible time. Sidney Brown, one of their better members of their secondary, he tore his ACL in the final week. So that's a bad loss for them. Their secondary was already weak. It gets even weaker. And Ben, I don't know if you saw the report today from Adam Schefter, but A.J. Brown didn't practice today. He missed practice, and it's a Thursday. So that's not good at all. If he doesn't play in this game, the Philadelphia Eagles, I mean, they shouldn't even show up because they're going to be, outnumbered in this game. But I know it's going to be raining, and I know it's Baker Mayfield, but I just don't have any faith whatsoever in that Eagles defense. Like if they can't get after the quarterback, which I don't think they will, because that Bucs offensive line is very underrated. I think they'll be able to keep Baker upright. But if Baker's got time to throw the football, they're going to torch that Eagles secondary. They're going to torch the linebackers. Mike Evans, I think, has a great day. Chris Godwin, I think, has a great day. And that rushing attack, I think, gets back to where they were because the Eagles defense just can't stop the run. They can't stop the run. They can't cover. They just can't do anything right now. And Jalen Hurts with a bad finger, I don't know how he's going to be able to throw the football. We'll see. I just don't see them being able to win this game just because of everything that's going on. Jalen's hurt. A.J. Brown might not play. So it's just a complete mess in Philadelphia right now. And, for the Eagles, I think they're going to be one and done in the playoffs. And Nick Sirianni, like you mentioned, there's going to be questions about his job moving forward.
For sure, definitely. Now, obviously, do you want me to take away the next steps here for division and what kind of switch?
Yeah. So let me lay out the matchups. So the matchups for you for the divisional round, starting in the AFC, you have the Texans at the number 1 Ravens, and then you have the Chiefs at the Bills, which should be a hell of a matchup if that happens.
Yeah.
And then in the NFC side, you have the Rams at the Niners, and Philly against Dallas. So you have a really good AFC. I mean, you have a really good divisional side, but you can take it away.
Yeah. So if that's the case for my division rounds, that sounds like a hefty wins for the winning home team. Texans at Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore off of a bye in the past. Remember in the playoffs, they're on a bye against in that year, and they lost to King Henry and the Titans. Come off a bye, so it's like sometimes when you're on a bye, it's not obviously great for a lot of teams. But this Ravens team is just absolutely hungry. I mean, they're absolutely scary, I think. And it's really just hard to bet against them. The Texans, obviously, they'll probably take a lot of their energy from the week before. And I think CJ Stroud, will kind of have a similar way that he played against the Ravens, I believe, earlier on the season, where the Texans' offensive line will not just be able to keep up with that Ravens pass rush. And I just don't know in terms of how that Texans defense can be able to stop that high-powered attack with the Ravens. So I'm going to go with the Ravens there to beat Houston. And then Chiefs at Buffalo. Man, because the Bills obviously went to Arrowhead and won. And, yeah, you have Andy Reid and McDermott. Obviously, just another great game for that. I'm going to go Buffalo. I think, at their place, it's really tough to win there. Kansas City on the road, I think, has been very vulnerable all year. So that's another thing to take into account. I think that weather could be involved. So I'm going to go with the Bills. I think it could be a close one, like a 21-17 type of a game. But I think that the Bills find a way to win. And then the Bills and the Ravens face each other in the AFC Championship game. From the NFC side, the Ravens and the Niners. The Niners have really had the Rams number in the past. They're at home. And I think that Rams defense, I don't think it's great, but I do think that the Rams are able to kind of take over that Lions team the week before. I don't think that it happened against that Niners team, especially at their place in the playoffs. So I'm going to go with the Niners. I think it's going to be like a 31-17 type of a game. And I have the Niners moving on. And then the Dallas and who do I have Dallas against? Eagles. I have Dallas Eagles. Yeah, give me Dallas. I thought I'd never say that before in the past, but the Eagles are just that fraudulent, to be honest with me. And I think if they just really squeak out a win against Tampa, which I have in this case, I just don't know specifically about the health of the Eagles offensively, if they can get away and be healthy all of a sudden in terms of, and if that's the case, even how effective are they going to be anyway?
Right.
They just, for constant weeks, they've just not shown to me that they're going to be essentially the early Eagles of old. So I'm going to go with the team that has really good defense. Heck, even the Cowboys absolutely, I believe they already smoked the Eagles and Dallas already during the regular season. Correct me if I'm wrong about that. But I'm not saying it's going to be like that case, but I think that Dallas has been absolute juggernaut at home, and I don't see them losing that game against Philly. So I have Texans getting knocked out, the Eagles getting knocked out, the Chiefs getting knocked out, and the Rams getting knocked out. So those are my 4 picks for the division games.
All right, so for me, my division games are in the AFC. Chiefs at Bills, like you bet. Texans and Ravens. Our AFC side are basically the same. And then this is where it gets wild. In the NFC, I have Packers at 49ers. Rematch of the 2019 NFC Championship game. and I think the 2021 NFC divisional game, and Bucks and Lions. So I mean, that's a matchup that I don't think anybody expected at the beginning of the year, Bucks and Lions. So in the AFC, I'm going to start with Texans and Ravens. This is tough because Ravens have a really good defense, but they have been vulnerable against the pass. And CJ Stroud is a very good passer, doesn't turn the football over. Also, the Ravens are a really good rushing team. Texans aren't really that good against the run. As much as I want to pick the upset, I'm going to go with the Ravens just because I think they're more physical and the rushing attack. I don't know if the Texans could stop it. I think it's going to be a close game. Like I'm going to go like 24-23, like 24-21. I think it's going to be a really close game, but I think in the end, it's going to come down to can the Texans stop the Ravens rushing attack and Lamar, and I just don't think they'll be able to. So give me Baltimore to advance to the AFC Championship game. Chiefs at Bills. That's going to be a classic. I think that it's not going to be as great as what it's been in the past, but it's still going to be a good game. You have Mahomes versus Allen, but like you mentioned, it's in Buffalo this time, not in Kansas City. It's in Buffalo. Also, the problem with the Chiefs is you can't trust any of their weapons. You can't trust MVS. You can't trust any of the receivers. You just double team, triple team Kelsey. You stop the run, and you're basically going to win that game because the Chiefs can't score points. And Mahomes has been very frustrated as of late. The Bills, I feel like, have a more explosive offense, especially after Joe Brady took over than the Chiefs. And I think that's what's really going to vault them to victory, because with the Bills, they can attack you anyway. You know, they can attack you throwing the ball to Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis. They can attack you running the football with James Cook, or they can attack you with Josh Allen with his legs, or they can attack you with Dalton Kincaid as well. Like, they can attack you anyway. So I'm going to go with the Bills to win. So I got Bills, Ravens, AFC Championship. In the NFC, Packers and Niners, I think it might be a little bit close at first just because the Niners and Packers kind of play the same style offensively. I think the Packers, they have, like, people aren't talking about this enough. The Packers, they have a really good offense. Jordan Love can sling that football down the football field, but it's that defense, Ben, that I'm concerned about with the Packers. We know the Packers, why I'm picking the Packers to beat the Cowboys is I think the Cowboys will turn the football over. They're going to mess up. They're going to take it away. But the Niners aren't that team. You know, in big moments, they rise to the occasion. So I'm going to go with SF, especially at home against Green Bay. I think they win that game. I think they win it pretty handily. I'm going to go 38-17 San Francisco. And then Bucks and Lions, I think, is going to be the game of the divisional round. Two teams that I feel like are kind of evenly matched. Not really good on defense. Bucks have a really good passing attack. Lions have a really good rushing attack. Ben, I'm going to go with the upset. Give me Baker Mayfield.
Wow.
I can't believe I'm saying this. Give me Baker Mayfield and
that's like old times on your intro
with Tom Brady. Give me Baker. Give me Baker and the Bucks and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, which I think will be the two X factors because I don't trust Detroit's secondary. Give me Baker and the Bucks to advance to the NFC Championship.
Wow.
To play the 49ers. It's going to be a close game, but the Bucks will win this game. I'm going to go Tampa Bay 31, Detroit 29.
Wow.
You wanna take the conference championship side, or should I take it?
Yeah, I'll take the conference championship. So for me, I have the AFC championship. I have the Ravens and I have the Bills. And then for the NFC side, I have the Cowboys and I have the Niners. So for the AFC side for the championship, the Bills are gonna be at the Ravens. And it should be a really good one. It could be potentially like the Bills and Chiefs of old. Two high-powered offenses going at it. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, two mobile quarterbacks. You got Harbaugh, you got McDermott. So you got two good coaches there. But I guess when it's all said and done, do I trust Lamar Jackson or do I trust Josh Allen when it comes to making the key plays at the right moments? And this year specifically, consistently, I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I think that they're going to get it done. It's going to be close. Like, it could be like a 30 to 23 Ravens. But I think they're going to pull it out. And then for the Cowboys and the Niners, you have the rematch of last year all over again in San Francisco in January. And you saw what Dallas tried to do this year in San Francisco for potentially to get some revenge there. It didn't work out, so they're trying for number 3. Third time's a charm, and it ain't happening again. I think that San Francisco is going to be too much. I think it'll be a lot closer than last year's NFC title game. But San Francisco just has too many weapons when they're healthy. And Shanahan, I'll take him over McCarthy any day of the week. So I'm going to go with Ravens and Niners for the rematch of the highly anticipated Christmas Day Eve matchup. That is my Super Bowl. So for you, Isaiah, you have Texans and you have Ravens. And then for the NFC side, you have –
I have Bills at Ravens, actually.
Yeah, Bills at Ravens, yeah. Like I had. Sorry about that. And then you have Bucks for the NFC side, Bucks at Niners. So crazy to think, but hey, I mean, it's obviously your choice. And so do you go Todd Bowles or do you go Kyle Shanahan? And then you go obviously. So what do you got? Let me know.
First off, like just let's keep this in perspective. Todd Bowles. I have Todd Bowles making the NFC Championship. I mean, you were in Tampa a couple weeks ago, and many of the fans in Tampa wanted him fired. So he could potentially go from being potentially fired to making the NFC Championship. Oh my God!
There was a lot of impatient fans being there a couple weeks ago. Let's just say that they were not happy, and they were coming for Baker's head. But if you have those right, I'll let them know over in Tampa Bay. I'll let them know.
All right. So you know what? I'm gonna get the NFC Championship out of the way first. Bucks at Niners. If this was in Tampa, the Bucks may have more of a chance. But you're going against a team that's really sound defensively. They've got a lot of weapons offensively. They're not the Lions. The Lions are really good offensively, but their defense leaves a lot to be desired. But the Niners, offense, defense, special teams, they can hurt you anyway. They're dangerous and elite offense, defense, special teams. I think the Niners romp the Bucks. I think it's kind of like the NFC Championship from 2019. I think they win that game. Baker threw 3 interceptions, I think, in that game. He hasn't seen a defense as good as the 49ers in this run. So give me the Niners to beat Tampa. I'm gonna go like 35 to 17. I don't think it's gonna be close at all. I think the turnovers really doomed the Bucks from the get-go.
It'll be sorry to cut you off. It'll feel you remember the Vikings-Eagles vibes in the NFC title game where it was just kind of like it pretty much was kind of over from halftime, but like it kind of felt like at the second half they kind of felt like they're coming back. That really wasn't a game. Yeah, It sounds like that's kind of what you're looking at.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's going to be like a blowout in the first half, and then you're going to probably turn off the TV at halftime and be like, yeah, the Niners are going to the Super Bowl. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it'll be like the Chris Paul meme in the second half of the Bucks trying to come back.
Yeah, he sinks a 3 to make it a 42-point lead. But I do think that what gives the Bucks a chance, though, is Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Like, they're really good wide receivers, and the Niners secondary have been kind of disappointed as of late of them. Like, they've slipped a little bit as of late. So if to give the Bucks a chance, it would have to be Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. But the bigger question is, does Baker have time to throw the football, which I don't think he will in this game. And then Bills and Ravens, this is going to be a classic. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, 2 quarterbacks vying for their first Super Bowl appearance going at it.
That's right,
that's going to be fun. And, you you have Josh Allen, who's revitalized his season. He's been really good throwing the football down the field. Lamar Jackson has been really good running. He's been all right throwing the football down the field this season. I'm going to go with the Bills, Ben. I think that the Ravens are really good at running. I still don't trust Lamar in key games, in big moments, throwing the football down the field. I think that he's going to choke, and I feel like the Bills have the better weapons, especially around Josh Allen, that will really decide the game. Because you think about Stephon Diggs, Dalton Kincaid, James Cook, Gabriel Davis, like those are like really good weapons. And for the Ravens, it's Odell, who's had an outstanding season. Mark Andrews going to be playing in this game?
I don't know. There was reports like early on in the season that he might come back for the playoffs, but like even if he does, like he's barely essentially probably practice, and you just don't know. I mean, the thing about the Ravens right now, though, is they're probably not like rushing Andrews back because Isaiah Likely's been an absolute monster. I mean, he's just been balling out right now. It's like it's not like they don't need Mark Andrews. It's almost like he's like a luxury to have at this point, but like they're not going to have him.
Yeah, I mean, and I think also why the Ravens I feel like are kind of at a disadvantage is they have a really good defensive line. But the thing with Josh Allen is he can make these miraculous plays that just leave everybody on the defense very frustrated because they're so close to getting him. They're so close to getting him, and then he just gets away or he gets the football away just in time. So I got the Bills winning this game. I think it's going to be a classic, but I got the Bills. I'm going to go Bills. I'm going to go Bills 27, Ravens 24, and I'm going to go Niners 31, Bucks 13. So I got Bills, Niners, Super Bowl, and you got SF, Baltimore. Two phenomenal Super Bowl matchups. But go ahead. I'll give the floor to you first. Who is going to be who's going to be Super Bowl 56? Is it 56?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, give me one sec here.
Or it might be. Yeah, I've lost track of my numbers.
Roman numerals. Let's see. SLVIII. That sounds like 66.
Wow, so it's Super Bowl 66. All right.
Well, we'll come back to that if that's the case. But yeah, that sounds about right.
Ben, I'll go to you first on this. Who is your Super Bowl 66 champion? Who wins it all this year? And who wins the Super Bowl MVP?
Yeah, so the Ravens and the Niners. The Ravens in this matchup the last couple of years, I feel like has had the Niners number. Obviously, the Super Bowl, in the Superdome, the Ravens won. Obviously, the Jacoby Jones kickoff return, you probably don't want to remember those, Isaiah, but obviously that kickoff return for the touchdown. Obviously, the Ravens winning that one with Ray Lewis and company. And then obviously this year, Brock Purdy obviously having an awful night. I think it was 400 receptions. They just never really had it from the start. They even benched Brock Purdy in like the third quarter. It wasn't because of injury. And they brought it to Sam Darnold. Like he gave him a chance at the end, but it just was too little too late. But I think that the Ravens are going to run out of steam. I think that in the Super Bowl that the Niners are going to get their revenge from not this past year, but from the Super Bowl in the past too. Because I think Shanahan knows that. I think that their offense is going to do just enough, and my MVP is going to be Christian McCaffrey. I think that they're going to really run the rock with Christian a lot. And I think that the Ravens are going to try to do what they can to stop the passing attack on the outside, like Ayuk and Samuel and Kittle. But I think McCaffrey is just so flexible and he can just do so many great things. That'll be hard for the Ravens to stop. So I think it'll be a really good game as well, too. I'm going to go 24-21 Niners. They win the Super Bowl.
Ben, I like that prediction a lot. For me, I got Bills at Niners, and I think that this is going to be the best Super Bowl we've seen in the last 10 years. I think it's going to be an outstanding game between Brock Purdy and Josh Allen, two great coaches, Shanahan versus McDermott, Joe Brady versus Steve Wilkes, two great offenses going at it. And Ben, I'll tell you this, the Brady-Brock Purdy story, or their similarities, will continue in this game. Remember, Brady in his rookie year, I don't think he played in his rookie year. And then in his second year, he came in for Drew Bledsoe. Bledsoe got hurt. Brady went on that run, and then Brady got hurt. I don't know if a lot of people remember this in the AFC Championship, but he came back for the Super Bowl and he led the game-winning drive when everybody was like, including John Madden, was like, "Hey, just run the ball and go for overtime." And Brady and Belichick were like, "No way, no how whatsoever." And Brady right down the middle, game-winning drive for the game-winning field goal. That's going to continue. Their similarities are going to continue. But give me the Niners to win this game. It's going to be a classic because the Niners have a really good offense. I don't trust the Bills' defense. I think the Niners put up a lot of points, but Buffalo has a great offense with Allen, Cook, Kincaid, Diggs, all that good stuff. The Niners won't be able to cover Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. Their secondary is not that good. I think Davis and Diggs have a really great day against the Niners. And the Niners, Ben, I don't know if you noticed this. The Niners pass rush has shrunk in big games for some reason. Like, I don't know why, but they just can't get after the quarterback. And Josh Allen, if you can't get after him, you're in for a you're in for a long, long day. But I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be tied going into the final minute of the fourth quarter. And give me this guy right here to lead the 49ers on a game-winning drive a la Tom Brady from 2001 lead them down the field for a game-winning Jake Moody field goal. And the Niners, I think, win this game. I'm going to go with a shootout. 38-35 San Francisco. Brock Purdy game-winning drive. Nice throws to Ayuk, Debo, McCaffrey. But the Tom Brady, Brock Purdy similarities will continue. And Brock will do what Brady did about 23 years ago and lead the Niners on a game-winning drive. And the Niners win their sixth Lombardi trophy. They win their first Lombardi since 1994. And also, here's another similarity that will continue. This guy right here, Brock Purdy, will win Super Bowl MVP just like Tom Brady did in his first Super Bowl. Like, it's crazy, these similarities. Brady and Purdy, Mr. Relevant, 6th-round pick, and both guys come in for an injured quarterback. Like, it's crazy the run they've been on. But I think their similarities continue, and Niners win the Super Bowl, and Brock Purdy wins Super Bowl MVP, cementing him as a legend in San Francisco forever.
We'll have to find out. I mean, it should be a really fun playoffs. It should be a playoffs that I think is going to be very uncertain, because I think there are going to be a lot of teams that we're going to look at. They're like, okay, yeah, that's the team. But like in the past, it's like, you remember in terms of the playoffs, right? And I remember, Isaiah, you had on the playoff preview that the New York Jets would be in the AFC Championship.
Oh, God.
And it's almost like them and the Jaguars. You had them predicting. You had Trevor Lawrence. You had Aaron Rodgers. And, like, at the time, it's like, the Jets, right? You would have thought the Jets, with their defense, with Aaron Rodgers at the helm, it's like that all went to flames. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars they were 8-3. And then the second half, like, I don't know if it's like they don't have the foot on the door or whatever, on the pedal in the metal, but they just completely just fallen apart. So, I mean, the Jacksonville was in it. I mean, no offense to Pittsburgh, right? Pittsburgh, obviously, they got in, but you want to take Mason Rudolph and in Buffalo or Trevor Lawrence. It's like, good man. It's gut wrench, because I feel like Jacksonville definitely would have given Buffalo a better game for sure. But that's why we play the game, and that's the unknown. And we'll have to find out in terms of what happens.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is definitely going to be a great playoff. I can't wait for it. It starts on Saturday afternoon at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. So buckle up, guys. The playoffs are here. The best time of the year is here. And who knows, we might even get more shocking coaching firings coming up during these playoffs. But we'll see. Ben, if you had to give one like bold prediction, not like retaining to the games, but regarding like players, coaches, teams, all that stuff, what would be your like bold prediction for the playoff?
Oh man.
I can go first if you want to just think about it.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right. So my like bold prediction for the playoffs, not about wins and losses, but I think that the Cowboys choke against the Packers. I think they lose that game. I think that Mike McCarthy gets fired a couple of days after that game. Jerry Jones will be pissed. And Bill Belichick, your guy, will be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys and join Jerry Jones in Big D.
Wow. That'd be crazy. All right, for me, I think that man, Josh Allen throws 3 touchdowns in the AFC title game and loses. He throws like 3 touchdowns, 320 yards, and it's not enough. And I think that the defense for Buffalo lets them down in that one. Remember the AFC title game with the Bills and Chiefs a couple years ago? The game that Patrick Mahomes and company won in overtime to Kelsey. That AFC title game is kind of feeling like with this vibes. With these games, with this AFC title game, because you have 2 teams that are essentially offensively powered. Their defenses, I just don't know if they can be able to battle it out consistently to get stopped. And I can really see that being like the old Bills Chiefs game from a couple years ago in the title game. So that'll be really exciting.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a great playoffs for sure. But man, what a great show, man! From all the coaching news to all the the predictions. Like it was a very fun show. But I know it's getting late.
I'll give you really quick my reactions to Carroll and Saban before we can conclude for tonight. Obviously for those that didn't know, I came on late, obviously, so I'll give you guys my reaction to that. The Carroll news, I was a little surprised about. I know obviously with the Belichick news, I think a lot of people kind of expected that to happen in terms of one way or the other. But Carroll, I mean, he did a pretty good job with the Seahawks team this year. I mean, they were close to getting the playoffs. He's essentially kept them like relevant for the last couple of years. I guess they want to go for a new voice. We'll have to see in terms of what happens. I mean, I had Jim Harbaugh in my predictions. And we'll have to see in terms of like what happens, with Seattle's like new era from there. But I think that for him, I think he stays with the Seahawks as kind of like an advisor type of role. And then maybe if there's suitors out there for potentially another team for Carroll, he might pursue it. But congrats to Carroll on a very great year. This year, and then a great 14 years. He won their Super Bowl against the Broncos at MetLife Stadium. Congrats to Pete Carroll on a great time with Seattle. And then Nick Saban, wow. If you thought that news with Carroll was crazy, I essentially was just on my phone. I was doing like a little short video for like my other network, and like essentially I was just doing a breaking news, and I'm like thinking to myself, I'm really have to do another breaking news segment. Like this is insane. Like Nick Saban, yes. Like I thought there was a tweet. I thought it was like a parody account, and then I had to look back on it, and then like Schefter put it out. I'm like, there's no way. Like my mind, oh my goodness, it's like Nick Saban, college football with Nick Saban. Like essentially, there's no other better way about this. Like my childhood, man, it's just slowly just coming to an end. It's crazy. This is obviously the greatest coach in college football to ever coach it. He's an absolute legend. I mean, he is essentially, love him or hate him. He is essentially the emperor of college football. Alabama, of course, was a standard for so long. As you mentioned, obviously, Isaiah, when your Georgia Bulldogs obviously conquering them a couple of years ago, Alabama was really just the kings of college football. They had incredible talent year after year with scouting. Saban just got the best, like Belichick did. He just got the best out of players consistently. And it's just he's going to be really missed. I'm not a Bama fan by any means, but I do respect greatness, and I do obviously like Saban. And it's gonna be sad. It's gonna be obviously tough to see a legend like that go out. And I'd be curious to kind of see in terms of what he does next. Does he essentially just take a year off? Does he go into something different? I know that he was with Pat McAfee a lot this year doing some stuff. I think he'll do something great regardless because that's the kind of type of the person he is. And he obviously had a great legacy over there for sure. So congrats to Nick Saban on a unprecedented career with Alabama for sure. And then obviously headline after that with my coach and Bill Belichick. You just talk about 2024, Isaiah, coming out really hot. But I guess that's the way it has to happen,
Yeah, I mean, Ben, just think about this. I was telling Laurel this, I think, during the show tonight. Next year, when you watch football, next football season, when you watch Alabama games, Seattle, and New England, you're going to have a new coach on the sidelines wearing Seahawks gear, wearing Patriots gear, and wearing the Crimson Tide red with the red A. Like, it's going to be insane. Like, I honestly, whenever I watch an Alabama game next year, I might just be like, am I dreaming? Is that really not Nick Saban on the sideline? Like,
Yeah.
Is that not Belichick on the sideline? Is that not Pete Carroll like on the sideline? It's gonna be like there's gonna be some getting used to for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking like as a Boston sports fan myself, like my whole like childhood, you look at like iconic figures: David Ortiz, Tom Brady, Patrice Bergeron, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce. I mean, just all these guys, and it's just like you look back and there's that meme of like I don't know if this is the guy it's like he essentially does this or whatever. But it's just an incredible meme because it's just like you just look back and it's like wow, it's insane. But it's like just cherish the memories. In terms of like your Niners right now, like you guys are obviously going through a really like great time. In terms of your franchise. But obviously just cherish it because you just don't know in terms of when it's going to ever stop. Obviously, as they say, don't smile because it's over, cry because it happened or whatever. It's obviously it's been a great wild run for all those three guys. In terms of for my Alabama replacement, I think it's going to be Lanning from Oregon. I think he's going to be the guy to replace him. So he'd be a great fit. But yeah, I mean, to replace like for Belichick, it's going to be so hard to replace a guy like Saban.
Well, for my Alabama replacement, wow. I think it's going to be Dabo Sweeney. Played there, was an assistant. I think he said before that that's the only job he would leave Clemson for. And now it's open, and I think it would be an easier transition than if you, let's say, get Kalen DeBoer, right, or some young coach that hasn't really won. Like, you could sell the fans. Okay, we got Dabo Sweeney, three-time national champion. He's won a lot of championships, won a lot of titles, or won a lot of games. He could be Saban 2.0. So, it's going to be crazy, especially like you mentioned, 2024 is off to a bang. I mean, Belichick, Saban, Carroll all leaving. I mean, next year we're going to see Belichick potentially wearing another hoodie with another team on it. Like, I mean, I still can't get used to that fact. And also, think about this, Ben. When there's smoke, there's fire. Imagine if, with all this craziness, imagine if you add Kirby Smart to the Atlanta Falcons. Like, oh my God. Oh my God, I can't even think about that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, obviously this weekend, I wouldn't be surprised if there's more smoke coming out of anything. Baseball, football, obviously with the playoffs. Another thing too about the Belichick stuff is like you just saw the appreciation today from like all the players.
Yep.
Obviously Brady had a fantastic thing that he put out. Gronkowski, Edelman, James White, Devin McCourty, Slater. I think maybe had something. It's like people think, right? Like the non-Patriot fans are like, "Oh, Brady made Belichick this or that." It's like you guys have to realize this. Matt Castle in 2000, it was the year Tom Brady tore his ACL. Bill Belichick got Matt Castle, a backup quarterback, to an 11-5 record.
Yep.
Bill Belichick essentially, Brady essentially won the drive against the Rams in the second Super Bowl. Bill Belichick held that Rams high-powered offense to 3 points. Bill Belichick's essentially there's a foundation, a Bill Belichick foundation off the field. His impact and presence should never ever be forgotten. And even like Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski and Edelman, all these guys essentially on podcasts or radio shows essentially have been praising for Bill Belichick. So for anybody that's coming to me that said Brady carried Belichick, I personally just think it's utterly nonsense. I really do. And like you could say, well, after Brady left, Bill Belichick wasn't great. I can get it. But it's like that's more of like GM Bill Belichick. I get it. He's not a great GM. But in terms of like actually coaching, he could still coach. I mean, heck, that Bill Belichick Patriots team this year, they competed. They battled to the end of their season. They just didn't give up. They went toe-to-toe every single week. And that's in terms of the competitiveness of Bill Belichick coaching year in and year out. And so I just essentially want to get that really out before for tonight that Brady and Belichick essentially could not win without each other, and it's proven.
Exactly. Well, it was a great show, guys. Thank you so very much for tuning in. We really, really appreciate it. It was a good, 2-hour program to celebrate, the great career of Bill Belichick and Nick Saban and Pete Carroll, and also get our football picks out. Like we always say, this is definitely the great time of the year. We got playoffs. Coaching carousel has been a blazing fire thus far. So it's probably going to continue. But so stay with us. But Ben, it's time for final thoughts and announcements. What are your final thoughts for tonight's show?
Yeah, obviously good show. Obviously I came on late, but I was able to pretty much get everything I want to get into. We got obviously get into our football stuff, predictions, and obviously all the stuff Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll, and Nick Saban. In terms, if you guys want to hear more of this stuff, tune in to Kick In with Cruz. I'm thinking potentially either tomorrow night or when I come back from my vacation. Maybe a show potentially on Monday. I'll have to take a look about that. We'll get into all this stuff that we talked about in terms of the coaching stuff. Maybe expect even possibly some more when the time potentially might happen. We'll recap, obviously, the games from the weekend. We'll talk some baseball. Obviously, that there's been some arbitration stuff that has happened as of late. So maybe the market starts to pick up a little bit after that. We'll have to see. We'll talk some basketball. And much more. So if you guys want to watch more of that stuff, tune into MI6 IN6 Sports Network. You won't want to miss that. Also, if you guys want to follow my Twitter as well, I will put that really quickly in the comment section as Isaiah goes to his overall. Here is my Twitter for those that want to know specifically. It's at BenCruz144, all in one word. So if you guys want to tune in my stuff, I put a lot of more content out there, get my overall reactions. Obviously, I'm part of another network, so I do a lot of stuff over there. They have their own Twitter and all the Instagram and all that stuff, so I'm around everywhere outside of being here as well, too. So if you guys want to talk anything about sports, I'm around, and that's everything for tonight.
All right. Actually, before I get into my final thoughts, these were Low Rose picks. I'm not going to go through all of them, but he's got an AFC Championship. He's got Ravens over the Bills. NFC Championship, he's got Niners over the Cowboys. And then his Super Bowl, he's got the same thing as Ben, but Ravens over the Niners with Super Bowl MVP Lamar Jackson. So, man, can't wait to see what happens. These playoffs, it's going to be so much fun. But for my final thoughts, great show tonight. I think we all needed it with Belichick, Saban, Carroll, and all the craziness that happened. It was a great show. And, Yeah, man, a lot of good stuff that's happening in sports. Maybe not basketball because both of our teams, Ben Celtics, my Lakers, both got
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely
I'm
whooped
not.
tonight.
Yeah, it was tough, but we're coming off a back-to-back, playing against a really good Wolves team, and yeah, the Bucks just they kicked our ass. I mean, it's plain and simple. It was bad, but I'm not too worried about it. I think it's more of a one-over than what it's supposed to be. And hopefully, with myself in attendance tomorrow for the game, hopefully that they bounce back.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to the Celtics game. Is it tomorrow or Friday? I mean, or Saturday?
Well, for me, I mean, today's Friday here on the East Coast,
Right.
so it'll be tomorrow night. So,
Okay.
in Boston. So I'll be there from Saturday to Monday. I'm going to be seeing some family friends up in the city. So I'll be up for the game, and it's for my dad's late birthday present as well too. So that'll be something for him too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned with the Celtics, I think it will be fine. Not worried about them. The Lakers, good lord. I mean, they look like they quit. That was a disgrace tonight. I mean, I don't want to get into them, but yeah, that was ugly. But yeah, you mentioned, baseball is slowly happening. I mean, we had Marcus Stroman sign with the Yankees. That was something, I guess, that happened tonight. But
I think.
hopefully, yeah, go
I
ahead.
think this weekend will really pick up because I think arbitration had a lot of guys specifically. I think it'll really kind of start to pick up. I think there's people were saying on Twitter today that Passon was kind of hinting at something like that. So whether it's kind of little things like that, selling for arbitration, I think that stuff will start to come around, some extensions, therefore.
Yeah, hopefully, because I mean, honestly, this baseball off season has sadly been really disappointing because we thought it was going to be, big bang moves coming left and right, but instead it's been just deep freeze and there's really been nothing to talk about. But remember, spring training, guys, starts in a month. Can you believe that? It starts. Pitchers and catchers report, I believe, February 19th. I think that's the day. So it's a month and 7 days from now. So can't wait for that as we're inching closer to baseball. We're probably going to have more on the Belichick stuff and the Patriots because I'm expecting the Patriots to make a hire maybe by the weekend. We'll have more of that on Ben's show, so make sure you guys tune in to that. And like Ben said, if you guys like what you guys saw tonight, keep following the MI6 Sports Network and the IM6 Network. We got a lot of these great content coming up for you. But Ben, I mean, it was a great show. Do you have any more announcements, by the way?
Yeah, really quickly. So obviously, speaking of baseball, I found out from my other network that I will be co-hosting their baseball show. So I'm really excited for that. They had somebody last year that was doing it, and unfortunately, we don't have them on for this year due to a couple different things. So they wanted to bring somebody else on board, so they have me. So obviously, if you guys want to take a look at some stuff for baseball season coming up, we'll obviously have Batter up here, but I will also be a co-host on the other show too.
Oh, nice, Ben. Congratulations on your new role with that. Hope that show goes well, and it's gonna be awesome. Looking forward to tuning in there. But guys, it's been a great show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I think it's appropriate that we're gonna conclude this show before we get to the extra point intro and outro. We'll just play this little farewell video for Bill Belichick. End of an era. The dynasty sadly is over. Great coach. He's going to be missed in New England moving forward. Our childhoods sadly are over, but Bill Belichick, what a run, what an era, what a dynasty, and can't wait to see what you do moving forward. Have a good night, everybody.
Legendary.
I'm very excited to introduce to you our new head coach, Bill Belichick.
I'm thrilled to be part of this organization.
Kick is on the way, and it is good! It's good! The Patriots are Super Bowl champions!
Are you ready?
It's just about doing our job. Just do your job.
The New England Patriots claim their second Super Bowl championship.
He might be the greatest head coach of all time.
Back-to-back. 3 out of 4.
We're on to Cincinnati. We're on to Cincinnati. We're preparing for Cincinnati.
A fourth Lombardi trophy is headed to one Patriot place.
Legendary.
The greatest comeback in Super Bowl history.
And there it is. The dynasty continues.
Third and 29. Jones steps up, tries to avoid it, buys some time. Jones uncorks, deep ball, touchdown on the ricochet. Purdy back to throw, pressure coming, steps away, looking to run, and he walks it in for the touchdown. Throw on 4th and 18. He's given time. He wants Jefferson. Jacobs with running room right up the middle. Jacobs is on his way. The Raiders are going to win this game. Herbert lays it up. Finished. Intercepted Trayvon Diggs. Guess who? To McCaffrey right up the middle, and it's stiff arm McCaffrey for 6.